Viewers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. You are welcome to our program, Marriage and its Contemporary Realities. My name is Ibrahim Yahya, and today we would like to have the second episode of this program with its title, Spouse Selection in Islam. Here with me in the studio to do justice to this program is Sheikh Muhammad Isa Aliyu. Sheikh, you are welcome.
Thank you very much. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه والصلاة والسلام على النبي المصطفى والأمين المجتبى وعلى الأربعة الخلفاء الأئمة الحنفاء وعلى من سار على نهجهم واقتفى أثرهم إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. Brothers and sisters in Islam, I greet you with the words of peace. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. As earlier introduced, our topic of discussion today is, inshallah, on how's a spouse selection in Islam. When we come to talk about marriage, the most difficult step in beginning that trip called marriage is selecting the right spouse for you. Is it somebody that is more compatible than another, or the person that fits your lifestyle, or the person that you will carry on the journey of life throughout together, and inshallah even beyond death? To select such kind of person becomes extremely difficult. And why is it very, very difficult? Is because it's not like you have products in the market and they are available, all of the products, and you go and choose the one that is okay. No. Some meet by accident. Some it is through maybe somebody who introduced the person to you. Some it may be not a colleague in the school or in his workplace or her workplace. Some it may even be a coincidence. So for you to choose the best person that will fit your lifestyle with all the qualities that you have in mind, and you said you got it right, that is extraordinary Allah's enhancement and not your effort. So all what you're doing with regard to spouse selection is you're trying your best. But even if you try your best, you may get the wrong person. But that's not a problem, because even greater servants of Allah face that kind of test. You can recall the history of Nuh alayhi salam. We can recall the history of Lut alayhi salam. And many other great servants of Allah. So Allah can test you in that aspect of life. But however, whenever you try your best and sincerely you pray earnestly, in many cases Allah assists you. You may even get the best without much effort from your own end. No. But what makes it complicated is the criteria we lay down. We lay down criteria that have nothing to do with an ideal wife or an ideal husband. In most cases today, people look at, if it's from the male aspect, beauty is so important to men. So the moment he sees a beautiful lady, he feels should be the right wife for me. Although it's one of the qualities that Islam permits you to put it as a criteria, but it's not the most important criteria. It's not the most important one, and it's not the most sensitive one. Because you can have a beautiful person that has no iman, that has no any inclination to religion and good attitude. But from the female side, the most important thing they look at in a man, in most cases, is wealth. Is he wealthy? The moment he is wealthy, then they don't pose any question to that person's religious credentials. Does he observe Salat? Does he fast? Etc., etc. So due to those criteria, that made a lot of difficulty when we come to talk about an ideal wife or an ideal husband. However, in Islam, righteousness of a partner is the most important factor that you should consider when selecting a partner in life. And I'm talking of when we talk about marriage. The Prophet ﷺ said in an authentic hadith, تَخَيَّرُوا لِنُطَفِكُمْ فَإِنَّ الْإِرْقَ دَسَّاسٌ, that you should be highly selective on those you consider as wives or husband, because it can be a poisonous affair. When he said poisonous, it means the children you will bear will pick it, your grandchildren will pick it, so it follows the entire progeny. So generations after generations will face the consequence of a particular mistake you are making. And you can make that mistake just within a few minutes or a few seconds that I've decided, and that's all. But it affects the whole of your progeny. And that's why he should be highly selective. That's what the Prophet ﷺ said. And he also, apart from saying that we should be selective, he even gave us some guide. That religion, that is attitude, should be the most important thing that we should also consider when you want to pick a partner in life. So how do we know the person that is religious? How do we know the person that has sound moral rectitude? That is part of the discussions we'll have at the later part of our discussion. Now, factors that we should consider when selecting a wife. As we'll start from the male aspect of it. Aside from the fact that meeting the right person in many societies is extremely difficult, because you may have the best wife, but staying somewhere that you can arithmetically, almost mathematically nearly impossible for you to meet. So how do you know that there's that person, kind of person? In some societies today, they have a simple way of creating an avenue whereby the righteous ones among the male can easily be able to get the befitting ones for them among the other gender. But in this society, it is difficult. However, well-wishers and friends can play a very good role. So long as they wish you good. That I saw somebody, and I think from all indication, that person can make a very good partner for you. So when you want to choose a wife, it is her righteousness. And the hadith of the Prophet said, فَاظْفَرْ بِذَاتِ الدِّينِ, just pick the one that has religion, very, very religious in her attitude. In that hadith, it said, تُنْكَهُ الْمَرْأَ لِأَرْبَعٍ, that is, people marry, generally, not any kind of person. He said either for her wealth, or for her beauty, or for her family background, or for her status, but he said choose the one that is very religious. Now, how do we know that a woman is righteous and it is religious? There are some factors that we should consider. One of those factors is shyness and bashfulness. Shyness and bashfulness. If a woman is shy, it means she has some aspect of iman in her. And there's a hadith that made it clear unto us, وَالْحَيَاءُ مِنَ الْإِيمَانِ, and shyness is part of iman. And even in the glorious Quran, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was telling us about the daughters of Shu'aib alayhi salam during the time of Musa alayhi salam, he said in the glorious Quran, فَجَاءَتْهُ إِحْدَاهُمَا تَمْشِي عَلَى اسْتِحْيَاءٍ, and one of them came to him, and from the way she is walking, you can see shyness in her. If you link this verse and the hadith I just quoted, it means in a woman, shyness is sign of iman. And in another hadith, it says, "Zalam tastahi fasna ma shit." If you will not be shy, then do whatever you wish. So it means any bad act that you see somebody doing it in the face publicly, it means that person has no shyness in him or her, and it means that person's iman has some problem. No. The next one is dress code. Woman's dress code can show some aspect of her religiosity. Though there are people that say, no, my iman is in my heart. But it's the same Allah that said, should be your dress code, not you. Now the next one is her behavior. Behavior is the way she speaks, the way she walks, the words coming out of her. Does she respect her parents, her elders? All these are factors. Another aspect of it is the Prophet ﷺ said in a hadith, تَزَوَّجُوا الْوَدُودَ الْوَلُودَ فَإِنِّي مُكَاثِرٌ بِكُمُ الْأُمَمَ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. Marry that lady that has high affection, that she loves you, original love. Al-Walud, and they bears children. فَإِنِّي مُكَاثِرٌ بِكُمُ الْأُمَمَ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ, because I'll be proud of my ummah, the number of my ummah in the day of judgment. And the last one is her physique. That is, it should be appealing to you who want to marry her. Now, in a rushful manner, factors to be considered when you want to marry a man, or that you should look up to in a man. That is a man that regards his chastity, and the man that is righteous. He has no record of bad acts, and people don't say he is bad or he is this or he is that. And he has sound moral rectitude, and he can provide for his family. That one is relative. Rich or poor, he can provide food, clothes, and shelter for his family. The Prophet ﷺ said in an authentic hadith, إِذَا أَتَاكُمْ مَنْ تَرْضَوْنَ دِينَهُ وَخُلُقَهُ فَزَوِّجُوهُ إِلَّا تَفْعَلُوا تَكُنْ فِتْنَةً فِي الْأَرْضِ وَفَسَادٌ عَرِيضٌ. He said, whenever somebody that you are okay with his religious credentials come to you, and his behavior, that is his moral rectitude, come seeking for the hands of your daughter in marriage, give it to him. If you don't, كُنْ فِتْنَةٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ. It will be a mischief, a problem on earth, of fasad and arid. And you should note the verse of the glorious Quran that tells us the women that are prohibited upon us. That is in Surah An-Nisa, verse 23. The last thing I will speak about on this is the right approach when you come to get even the appropriate person. Avoid secret meetings. Don't have secret meetings with somebody. You say, no, I'm trying to select somebody, so let's go into hiding in a dark place. Then you say, no, I'm trying to get the best spouse. No, avoid it. مَا خَلَى رَجُلٌ وَامْرَأَةٌ إِلَّا كَانَ الشَّيْطَانُ ثَالِثُهُمَا. Whenever a man and a woman just go too much distant away from people and stay between only two of them, then shaitan will be the third person. And avoid fornication, as some people do, using that. Lastly, when obtaining a spouse becomes difficult, what do? There are two good things that we've been taught by the Prophet ﷺ and his companions. Pray earnestly. رَبَّنَا هَبْ لَنَا مِنْ أَزْوَاجِنَا وَذُرِّيَّاتِنَا قُرَّةَ أَعْيُنٍ وَاجْعَلْنَا لِلْمُتَّقِينَ إِمَامًا. Those are prayers of even prophets. And so also did the companions of the Prophet ﷺ and great servants of Allah that preceded us. The last one is introduction. You can look at the person and you meet with somebody else, then you introduce that person to him. You have already helped him in life. It happened during the days of the Sahaba. Omar would request from Abu Bakr, and also another Sahabi would request for another Sahabi that I have a daughter. There's nothing bad in that in Islam.
Alhamdulillah, thank you, Sheikh. Viewers, we'll go on short break. When we come back, we'll continue with our discussion, inshallah.